Welcome back to Just Jew and Me. I'm Donna.
And I am Adam. What is happening?
Did you have withdrawals last week without me?
Are we talking about alcohol or are we talking about without you? Oh, well, no, that's right.
Literally, I said without me. I didn't
I
mean
know,
like
but
your
my brain
problems.
said withdrawals and I just did my. No, I didn't. But I did miss you. It wasn't withdrawals per se, but there is a certain thing
Chemistry,
without
a
you.
little, a little like a fun back and forth. But you guys had a great conversation, you and Josh, while I was out of town last week.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a different energy, and it was kind of interesting to have somebody else's opinion. And I thought it was a pretty good guest host, and it's actually pretty funny. I've been getting messages on Instagram from his mother about how we need to have Josh on as a guest host all the time because he does such a good job, which I thought was
Oh,
you know
that's
it was
such a
very
that's such a mom.
it's such a mom thing to do. And then sent me another message this morning about it.
Oh, mom's really getting in there.
Well, listen, you're proud of your boy. You gotta advocate all the time, apparently.
Oh, that's cute. So mom definitely has not had a chance to look at our YouTube comments from last
No,
week.
and I would never tell her to do that because they're freaking awful.
Okay. We need to talk about that. We will get into that because this is a huge conversation of what kind of algorithm or what side of TikTok and YouTube we landed on in the last 7 days. And of course it was when I was out of town, so I felt like I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, you come
But
back. You come back to this mess.
well, let's just talk about it actually. You guys, you know, I am responsible for those if you want a little if everyone wants a little bit of a behind the scenes, raising the curtain or whatever they say, pulling the is that what they say?
Yeah,
Pulling
pull
the
the curtain
curtain?
back or peek under the hood. Yeah,
That feels sexual. Peek under the hood or no, like that's a peek under the skirt. Well, I'll tell you, I am in the friendship here, in the partnership of just you and me. Adam and I both bring things to the table, but I tend to have more of the expertise when it comes to editing and like he's getting it. You're learning so fast. You're really learning. But
thanks.
I wonder how many episodes we've done already, but in the first few weeks, like you really were brand new at this medium of
Yes,
video and podcasting. So, and I've been doing this now for so many years. So it's second nature for me to title the episodes and to come up with kind of like the show notes and the hashtags and, figure out what, especially YouTube. YouTube is a really interesting medium in the sense of I know if you want to show up on the algorithm, meaning on the For You page of YouTube, which is an amazing place because it's incredible. That's how my other show got so big, is because I would talk about topics that were trending, like popular topics, and just by chance, it would show up in people's YouTubes out or their For You page. And there's people that really live on YouTube. I've learned, and it's become one of my favorite places to be, actually, other than Instagram. Well, I like TikTok for certain reasons too, but YouTube is awesome. You can learn, you can really be entertained, and you develop relationships with those creators. And so I realized that even though last week you guys were talking a lot about summer camp and a lot about certain things, when you guys delivered the episode to me and I saw it, I was like, no, we're not titling it Jewish summer camp. We're titling it Iran and Mamdami.
which was funny because, and just another peek under the hood, not skirt, you weirdo. Um, I had sent you. You're like, what do you want to title it? And I said
Yeah.
Iran I don't remember, and sleepaway camp because we were
Hmm.
talking about Jewish sleepaway camp. Then all of a sudden, I wake up the next morning and it's titled something different. I'm like, what nefarious bullshit did Donna just do? But continue.
Well, I'll tell you, the program that we use to record has become so incredible. It's called Riverside, and it just keeps evolving. It's the software, which have to shout it out, developed, created in Israel, and their headquarters are in Israel. I don't know if they're in Haifa or Tel Aviv. Actually, I don't know, but they are constantly evolving and adding new features. And even since we started this podcast, it's gotten better. And when you guys finish the episode and it's uploaded, it immediately gives you not only just the full transcript, but it breaks it up into chapters basically. Like they talked about this, then they talked about this. And I realized you guys had, without even watching it, you had a good chunk of time where you focused talking about him. Um, Zohran, Zoman, Zoshman, Zosham,
Zofran.
Zofran. He makes me nauseous. We need some Zofran. But what is his name? Zoman? Zoran?
Zorhan. See, this is the problem. We had this conversation. It's either Zorhan or Zorhan, and then I started talking about the Adam Sandler movie.
Oh, oh,
So nobody messes with the Zo. Nobody messes with Zo.
Zohan,
Yes,
where he brushes his teeth with hummus.
oh, it's the
It's
best
the
movie.
best movie when he cuts his hair. He's like a hair cutter. He's a hairstylist in
Yeah,
Israel. It's such a good movie. That's a funny, funny movie. It's
I have
like
to
one of those
revisit it.
movies that we
Yeah, I
really
got to
gotta,
revisit.
yeah, we
Mhm.
gotta pull that one out. Actually, Dylan, my 12-year-old, was watching Borat the other day and I was dying. I mean, is that totally inappropriate or fine? I
For
don't
a
know.
12-year-old,
He just found it on Netflix and he was laughing
I
his
mean,
ass
I
off. And
guess
I was like,
this is another conversation because, and I had this conversation with our friend Dave Eichenstein, who's not on the podcast, who we continuously reference. That
we'll get him on.
my dad, who I think is going to be on a future episode of this podcast, uh, let me watch the worst possible movies at ages I shouldn't have watched these movies. Like
Mm.
seeing a movie like RoboCop, which is extremely bloody, at like the age of 6 or 7 years old. Like it made no sense.
But all of us grew up this way in the
I
80s.
guess. So that's why it's like weird when you ask that question about your son because I'm like, I don't know, is it? But then when I show movies to my daughters, it's the same way. I'm like, is this appropriate? Is this not appropriate? I don't know. Anyway,
Listen, we grew up in a very different time. My mom took me to the movie store. It wasn't even Blockbuster at this time. We would go to a video rental store in Beverly Hills on Doheny, and I'll never forget it. And she would just let us, it was open season and we picked Porky's. I was literally under 8 years old and we would watch Porky's.
ooh, that is not that's definitely not appropriate for an 8-year-old, underage year old.
What in the world was, and like she didn't check. She wasn't in our room like, "What are you watching?" "Oh, there is a peephole in the bathroom that they're looking through." Like she was an Israeli mother. She was like, "Go do your thing. I'm going to go on a date." Like
And
she didn't
and
care. She just wanted us to be occupied.
and look at you now. You're
Perfect.
raised by porkies.
You wonder why you
What?
wonder why I think everything's sexual.
Yes, a peek under the hood apparently became very sexual. It's all because of fucking porkies.
Thank you, Porkies, for making me who I am. That was a tangent. But anyway, I woke up and I said, I can call it Jewish summer camp, or I can take the risk and call it something that everyone is talking about, or at least on my feed. So many people are talking about this mayor race in New York City. And hopefully it will trigger some algorithmic, and then definitely Iran is a huge topic, which we'll continue to talk about today. And maybe it will capture some views. Well, it did capture a lot of views.
Yes.
And thank God it didn't even go crazier, because it captured the worst kind of views. It captured such hateful people. And I really don't know if it was Iran or if it was his mention. I can't decide. I think it was his mention.
I mean, it was mostly about him.
It was about him.
I think
People are very, very people that like him are very angry about people that don't.
I mean, even if you're a Democrat and you do not want to vote for him and you want to vote for somebody else, or I guess the whole thing they do in that candidate race is they rank people. I don't know. New York's
Yeah,
weird.
it's weird. It's
Right.
confusing.
But like people are like, how could you rank Cuomo above
Mhm.
Zohran? And I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. Cuomo had his issues. He had his thing with what he was kind of run out of the office when he was a governor.
Mhm.
But fuck, I'm voting for him 800 times out of 800 if I'm between him and this other dude. Like I
You
can't.
have to you have to pick your battles here.
Yeah, and then of course it's the fun part when you see like Ben Platt, who's like flashing his. I just
Oh,
voted for
oh
Mangani.
my God. I'm telling you, there is nothing like you expect it from the certain, super progressive, democratic, non-Jew Jews, people that don't understand, Israel but when you see it from people like Ben Platt, or let's even like take a step when you see it from like the Alana Glazers, Jew or the Hannah, whatever what's her last name again?
Ike Biner, Ed Biner,
Einbinder.
Binder.
When you see it from people like that, it's hurtful, it's kind of shocking. But Ben Platt, for some reason, is so a knife to the heart because of his family.
Hmm.
And I've been so I wonder how many people are like me where they really are struggling with that situation. I'm dying to talk to Jonah about it since I know him because if you are Ben Platt's family, now I am a mom, you're a dad. We're raising our kids Jewish. We're doing everything in our power to give them a good Jewish history, a good Jewish education, a good sense of Jewish pride and sense of, pro-Israel, Zionism, etc. I definitely am sending them. I send them to a Jewish school plus Jewish summer camp. It's like I don't know, and I imagine I'm doing a pretty good job. At least one of them is so proud. The other one is also like he just sings Jewish songs like just in the shower. Like he's so cute. But I am also like worried because I think Ben married a guy that is so anti anything that he grew up with. Because if you go to Ben's husband's stories, it's all AOC, it's all Zoran, it's all that messaging. And I think that it's all about who you marry or who you fall in love with that could change everything.
Yeah, oh, it's definitely that could definitely be a huge part of it, and like that whole dynamic. You're right about his family, about Jonah, about their dad, all of this. It's so bizarre. It's
And
like,
the mom is a Jewish advocate. That's literally her job.
right.
Like, it's not just that they're Jews. This is that what they did their whole lives.
It's it's very like that is this needs to be studied because
I know.
it is to be in that dynamic to have three people in your direct family that are not only Jewish but very that advocate for Israel, they advocate for being Jewish, all of these things, and then all of a sudden you have a different view, not just a different view, but partially an anti-Jewish view.
Yeah.
And I will never ever understand when a group like the LGBTQ
Hmm.
uh, still fall for this anti-Israel rhetoric. It is fascinating to me how
Yeah.
anybody could do that when when they throw them off the roof just for being gay.
Mm.
It makes no sense to me, and it's very bizarre. So this whole Ben Platt thing, you could be right. I mean, it very well could be who he's married to, and if he hears constant things from his husband and just words after words about progressives and anti being an anti-Zionist, all the stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's what's doing it. It's
Or it's a sense of rebellion, like a rebellion against the way you were raised, this feeling of like, I don't want to be the way that you forced me to be. Like I felt forced into it my whole life. I mean, it's crazy. He sang a song like his whole movie or not movie, what was his big musical?
Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all surrounding like suicide and like these like heavy subjects and I'm like, wow, you're aligning yourself with like these societies that are so anti what you feel like you should be believing in. And once you're in it, he's not getting out. Like I don't know how you move forward as his mother. I think about it so often. I can only imagine how devastated she must be.
Right. And like you brought up the point about your kids and, the way they are right now and raising them Jewish, like what happens if the
And where does it happen? Like, when did he turn?
I mean,
Like,
this is
was it when he was 20? Was it when he was in high school? Like, when did that happen?
I mean, obviously we can guess as much as possible, but he wasn't, as far as I know, he wasn't verbal about any of this until now, right?
Yeah.
He didn't say anything about Gaza, about anything until recently. So maybe he was kind of just teetering, and then being with somebody, again, this is all speculation, but then being with somebody could have just tipped the scale in that direction, where maybe it wasn't anything that he was like ever focusing on. It was just part of his past, and then now being married to somebody, it could have tipped that scale. Who knows?
People that we went to School Pond with when we were in high school that have been this way as well, that we had to like unfollow, that you had to unfollow or something. So
No.
when Adam and I met, we were 16 and we went on a trip to Israel. And, Adam grew up very like going to Jewish summer camp. I did not, but I grew up under an, Israeli family. So I did have that connection to Israel and had gone to Israel. But only on that trip did we really connect to Israel and connect to that like whole Judaism, Zionism thing. I did at least. But we were with like 120 kids from like all over LA. And a lot of us, we weren't on social media then. It was 2000. What year was it?
Also
97.
1997.
Jesus.
I know.
But since then, a lot of us reconnected on Facebook and then Instagram. And I think something happened, right? Wasn't there a couple people that you were like, whoa?
Well, there was one person in particular. Yes, I did not unfollow her because I'm always still curious about like random stuff that she puts up there. I will say it has died down. It's one of those things
Okay.
where I feel like maybe somebody in her family got to her and said, "Hey, you're upsetting some whatever it is." But like right at the beginning of this, I'd say probably a month or two after October 7th. So at the very beginning, she was posting a lot of anti-Israel rhetoric,
Mm.
a lot of stuff, and it was very interesting because again, this is like you said, it's like when you went on this trip, you felt very connected to Israel and being a Zionist. And it's like this person was on the same exact trip as us. And I had the same feelings as you did. What trip did she have that it was so different? That this is where she ended up, how many years, what, 30, 28
I
years
don't
later.
Yeah, and I don't think it was any different than us. I think we all had an amazing trip. I bet every single one of us went home from that trip feeling just like so fulfilled and amazing. I think it's about who you come in contact with in college. College is a breeding ground of insanity. I've learned, I didn't realize this because I did not have that experience. My college experience at UCSB was like all about just partying and drinking. I did not experience any anti-Semitism where I went to school. I'm sure there was, but like I was totally oblivious to it. I mean, I know there was because Tessa Wexler, that really very powerful Jewish, she was the student body president at
Yes.
UCSB, has like a huge story in that documentary. But I was not aware, like it wasn't big at my school. But the thing is that it really depends on who you meet.
Yeah.
Could change your entire course of your life. This is religious, this is political, you can totally get brainwashed in one way or the other, I think.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, I think for college, for me, I mean, I was in a Jewish fraternity, but we did experience anti-Semitism. I mean, being in a
Well,
Jew,
yeah, because you were literally screaming out loud with your sign, "I'm
right, that we're
Jewish."
Jewish, so we definitely saw it. So a little bit different than you, but again, surrounding yourself in college when you are away from your parents for the first time, and you have this young impressionable mind and whatnot. I still surrounded myself with Jewish people, so none of that other rhetoric came through and kind of changed my way of thinking. Continued kind of, being a Zionist in
Yeah,
college.
yeah. I mean, I'm so grateful that I ended up marrying a man who wasn't Jewish, who isn't Jewish, but like was so supportive of it and never, ever, ever like tried or even questioned or even over these last couple of years where the whole world has turned on Israel, it feels like, has only stayed stronger in his, like, in his, what's, I can't even think of the word, in his, um,
Devotion.
devotion, I guess is a good word, or also support, just like knowing who's right and who's wrong here. I'm so glad I took Lance and my family to Israel right before this happened because I think that also really helped. But like Lance is a big Joe Rogan guy. And, mostly for he likes the conversation. He likes the fact that he questions everything, but he's also really into, the health stuff. And like, he's always interested in like, the Huberman, like Andrew Huberman, Joe Rogan vibe, like the cold plunge and the fasting and like all that shit, all that manly shit. And Joe Rogan has like totally gone off the deep end a lot about Israel in the last few months, obviously. And Lance will listen to it and he'll come to me and he'll be like, Joe Rogan sounds stupid, which I appreciate so much. Like he has the right head on his shoulder that he's not down to get brainwashed by these idiots because he knows he's so like steadfast,
Yeah.
which
Um,
is so important to be married to someone like that,
yeah.
I think.
I mean, at the same token, like being married to Lauren, thankfully, I didn't marry somebody who was Jewish and then all of a sudden decided, to be against Israel and to focus on that. I think, I mentioned it, I think, at the beginning of like one of the earlier episodes for this is that, you know, Lauren grew up very, religion and Judaism was not even part of her life. It was, they celebrated maybe some holidays here and there. And it was basically just, she was Jewish by name. Uh, that's pretty much it. And then when she went to college, she went to University of Pennsylvania, which we know these Ivy League schools have issues right now. But what's interesting is that she found her Jewish identity there because she became friends with plenty of other Jews, East Coast Jews, of course, because they're all Long Island and all that fun stuff. And that's where she started celebrating Passover and started doing Shabbat. And she found these great group of friends where that kind of made it happen for her. So it was such a joy that once I met her, we had that connection right there that she was, that she knew she was Jewish and she appreciated it and she understood it. And as we continued growing up as a couple and then get married and then sending our kids to Hebrew school, she never went to Hebrew school. She never got bat mitzvahed. So having kids there and then the friend group that we created at our synagogue, and then even after that, October 7th, that kind of solidified it. It was more like we are this community, and we need to stick together, and we're always going to be looking at everything with a grain of salt because, as we talked about, media has been a little crazy since all of this, or forever, but definitely since all of this. And the idea of, loving Israel, understanding what it is, she definitely does. I'm I'm very upset though because she's never been to Israel before, and I actually haven't been back to Israel since our trip since when we were
Mhm.
in high school, and I we constantly talk about going, but we've never been, and right now it's a little weird.
You'll go.
Oh,
I mean,
I
you'll
know
you'll
we'll go.
definitely
I
do
just want to go now, Donna. I want
it.
to go now.
It's yeah, I mean, obviously now's not the time. But I'm just I wonder, I haven't really thought about this. I wonder how many marriages have ended since October 7th for this reason.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure it's the same thing. Like Trump probably ended marriages because there were probably TDS people versus Trumpers that
Not
got
even just
married.
Trump, just politics in general have
Yeah,
become so divisive in the last, well, I don't know if it's since Trump, but maybe just social media. I don't know exactly.
it's always been something, but I think it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And it's definitely social media is adding a ton of fuel to that.
But yeah, like all these strong feelings because I couldn't imagine, on October 7th, if you're married to someone, if you're Jewish, right? And you're going through all these feelings that we have been going through, and you're married to someone that's A, not Jewish, or is, but doesn't in any way connect to the Zionist feeling or being connected to being Jewish, or doesn't even support or doesn't care, or maybe we're in worst case scenario, it supports the other side. How could you ever love them and stay married to them if they are standing there and saying like, no, free Palestine? What?
Yeah, and then imagine going to like having your spouse go to a freaking rally. Like I
And
it's
like buying a kafia on Amazon?
oh god. I mean, if I saw Kafia arrive at my house, it'd be over. It'd be done.
Like what? Oh my god. Oh, can you imagine if like you see that your spouse is on like a Reddit forum, like Hamas for dummies? Like
Now I'm gonna have to look at just sneak on to Lauren's account.
Lauren, yeah, sure. I'm
See if she's
sure
on.
Lauren is doing that on
She has a Reddit account. She has like a secret room in his
the only
house.
thing she's doing is Googling how do I get my husband to not take naps.
Yes. Oh, speaking of, I do have. I'll wear it one of these other times. I got for Father's Day, of course. It's a shirt that says. I got two nap shirts, of course. One that says Nap Champ, and the other one says King of Naps. So
Oh
I'm
my
very
god, it's really become a thing.
well.
It's
Of course,
it's who you are.
it is. It is.
That's so cute. Okay, so we are on the algorithm of haters. Welcome in. Thank you for being here and thank you for the engagement.
And speaking of algorithm of haters, we actually started a TikTok page too, and
Yes.
that has been attacked very quickly by the haters. I mean, I'm guessing due to hashtags. You go in there and you see the every like comments every so often. They're very sweet and nice, and then there's the Palestine, 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 Palestine. Fuck
So
Israel all the way.
the one nice thing is there are filters on TikTok comments that you can put on there. You can filter out like certain words and stuff. Um, so if it gets out of control, you can do that. But uh, the truth is, they just outnumber. They outnumber. It's like cockroaches. You can't avoid it. They're everywhere. And it's it's gonna happen no matter what for some reason. They're never like even on some of the biggest um Jewish advocates accounts that have been posting every single day since October 7th, they still get it. I'm like, "Oh my god, like leave them alone. It's never
But
going to stop."
doesn't that only help in terms of getting
Engagement.
comments and engagement? Like, doesn't that add to the to the algorithm where you kind of
Sure, but I yes, but what the problem with comments, and this is how I look at it, is when you are on feeds on, social media, and I don't know if you engage this way. If I'm watching a reel or a TikTok, I'll watch the first like few seconds, and as I'm watching it, I'll open up the comments a lot of times because I'm curious what people are feeling about it as I'm listening to it. And sometimes, probably more than sometimes, you almost like gain your opinion based on what I think that happens. Like if the mob loves it, you're going to like it more. If the mob thinks it's horrible, you may be like, "Oh, it is horrible."
I know, and
So
it's
I
probably not a good way of doing it, but I do it too, where I'm like, I'll see that maybe my brain is like tipping one way, and then I see all the comments in that one way. I'm like, okay, then I was right, and then I go that direction, and I'm like,
right?
maybe I should just watch it, come up with my own opinion, and then look at the comments. And then if they don't agree with me, I feel shamed, or I feel better, like I'm the smartest one in the room. Who
I
knows?
know. The comments, I always go back and forth if comments are like the best thing ever for, just like community aspect of social media, or is it just it's it's like a pressure cooker. Like we're all going to die soon because of
I know,
the comment section.
I know.
Because of the hate that it creates. Speaking of, I have been so immersed in I'm chronically online, right? I live online, I work
It's
online.
your
I
job.
am literally it's my job.
Yeah,
And but everything I do, my screen time is crazy because not only is it my job, but I love it. And I'm constantly online. So in my mind, I have been conditioned to believe that everyone everywhere always hates Jews in Israel other than Jews. and Israelis, right? Like that's literally where my mind is. And I've been conditioned to be scared, to be proud of being Jewish in Israel and being pro-Israel online. The night before I went to so I went to Charleston, South Carolina, first time ever. And my birthday was on June 11th and we traveled on June uh, no, 14th or something like that. So I went out to dinner on June 11th with my mom and my whole family. And I wear my Magen David necklace, which I always wear. I'm not wearing it now, but I wear it always. And on June 13th, a couple days after, my mom sends me a text the night before I leave. And I was flying alone with my sons to meet my husband there. And she goes, Donna, this is my Israeli mom. She goes, Donna,
Do it
I
in an
know this
accent.
is
Do it in an accent.
Donna, I know this is going to upset you, but I really don't think that you should travel with your star. I think you should take it off. And she didn't mean like because it's expensive. Like she meant it's unsafe. And she goes, "You're traveling alone with your kids. People are very, very like scary right now. They're unhinged. Like you're going to the South. You have no idea. It's better to be safe than sorry."
Yeah,
It was the
you're
most
going to a place you've never been to before.
exactly. It was the most devastating text I think I've ever gotten from my mom, like in a long time. I honestly felt like I wanted to cry. And I know it came from a place of love and I know it came from a place of concern. People are literally dying for being Jewish. I can't protect myself if someone comes to me with a gun. I mean, what am I going to do? Right. And I'm alone with my two boys. It's not even like I'm a man that I can like, "Grr," fight. But it was so sad to get a text like that from your Jewish mother. You know what I mean?
Israeli
Like,
Jewish mother, yeah.
oh my God. But she's coming at me from a place of worry. And I really went back and forth about it. I texted Lance about it. I texted my sister about it. And they both said the same thing. They're like, listen, I know it's sad, but maybe she's right. Like, we don't want to risk it. You know, I would feel crazy and stupid if you left it on and something happened, you know? So I felt so sad, but I took it off and it really made me sad. Like, I'm not joking. I felt horrible. I took it
Where did you
off.
take it off? Did you take it off? Were you like already on the plane, or were you
No,
just?
I took it off the night before. I took it off before I went on to the airport. Now we get to the airport and I realize Dylan has it on. Okay, my 12-year-old has it on. And I tell him right before we get to the airport, or right when actually we're driving in an Uber and the driver and I have this great conversation and he's Armenian and he's born in Iran and he and I have an amazing conversation. He's very pro-Israel but he's not Jewish. I mean, we have this amazing conversation and I told him about the Magen David and he's like, "Yeah, yeah, you should take it off." And I was like, "Dylan, you should take yours off." And he's like, "No, I'm not taking mine off." Like my 12-year-old is deciding, right? Anyway, so I was like, "Well, I'm not going to, yell at him." But he's like, "Mom, I am not going to be scared to show." I was like, "Oh, Dylan." Like I was like, "Just put it under the shirt when we're walking through the airport." He's like, "Okay, fine, I did that." But then when we go to Charleston, let me tell you something about the South. Now, not every city I bet is this way, but Charleston, South Carolina, all the flowers for this city. I did not know that Charleston was once home of one of the most Jewish populations ever. It has a place called Little Jerusalem. It is so Jewish, welcoming, and friendly. People stop Dylan everywhere telling him how much he loved his necklace. Um, Jewish flags everywhere, Israeli flags everywhere. Like people were so pro Israel on the beach, at the stores, at the restaurants, one of the top restaurants in Charleston, one of the top Hyman Seafood. Shout out to Hyman Seafood, fifth generation owned had a big sign right at the front that said the Holy City, because it's called the Holy City, HOLY. The Holy City supports the Holy Land with a big Jewish star right at a huge sign. And it was packed beyond belief, lines out the door. No one cared. And I thought to myself, are we living in the upside down? That the South feels safe and like welcoming to Jews in Israel, but in LA, I'm scared? Like, what happened? Can you believe it?
I know, and I listen. I've never been there before, and I've always wanted to go. Lauren has always been, we should go, we should go. Just never. And like, it's interesting now because now I definitely want to go. Not that I didn't want to go because Lauren said it, but now I definitely want to go because of what you're saying. So you've sent me for like this past week. I mean, it was picture after picture. It's like Jew this, Jew that, Israel this, all of that stuff. And it was very, very surprising to see that. And I am interested to know, is it, and maybe you know this since you've been there, is it a Jewish population, or is it like is there a heavy Jewish population in that city, or is it just a population that is very welcoming of Jews and supportive of Israel?
I did not meet a lot of Jews. I mean, the company, the Hyman Seafood is owned by Jews that lived in Israel for a little bit, but were born in America. I didn't meet a lot of Jews. I met a lot of we support Israel Americans. We support the president. We support Israel. We do not support terrorism. We support, and this was after Israel and Iran started trading missiles back and
Mhm.
forth. And we support Israel in this, and we support Israel, and we want the hostages back. I mean, we saw a lot of the hostage. Oh my God, my son is looking for his phone, and it's here. Oh my God, I'm gonna kick his. Oh my God, how do I turn it off?
Throw it against the wall.
Oh my God.
Blame the Jews.
Dylan. It's Dylan's fault. Let me tell Lance. Tell Dylan it's here. His phone is here. So it was a really, really,
Jesus Christ.
my
Opinion?
goodness. Oh my God, it said keep holding to call emergency services. Don't want to do that. But it was really an incredible thing. I don't know if it's just regions. Look, it's also a red state, and that's definitely going to make a difference. Also, by the way, they had no we traveled on the day of like the No Kings protests.
Oh, that's right.
And they had no so we met a couple people on the day after on the 15th. And when we were at the beach, we met this guy that like he was like, "Hey, I live in Philly, but I come to Charleston all the time." He was at the beach. And he's like, "My brother lives in Encino and he hates it out there. And he's trying to come out to Charleston." And he's like, I said, was there a lot of like protests yesterday? Because we weren't around. We flew in and got at night. And he's like, "Oh, here? Oh God, they wouldn't handle any of those protests. No way." Like, I just think that they just do things a little differently in certain states. It's just there's less of the balagan.
What was that? Is that a?
Balagan.
I
That's
think
a Hebrew
that's
word.
that's
That's
one I don't
maybe
know.
balagan is like chaos.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to use that. I like that.
Yeah.
I know
There's
it's.
also probably not ice raids in red states.
Nah, they're probably all over, but they're making a bigger deal about them here. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, they're definitely not focusing on a lot of the red states, so they're not a lot as much to protest.
like back to the whole like appreciating Judaism and Israel. It is interesting, and it's always awesome when you find these kind of gems and you find these areas that are pro Jewish and pro Israel. I mean, I remember last year Lauren and I went to Mexico City, and Mexico doesn't have a
Very.
huge Jewish population, but there's like an entire part of that city that is completely just Jewish. Like it's like a little Israel, if you will.
Mhm.
And I remember we go into a store, a bakery, just chatting with this Israeli who had moved from Israel to Mexico City to start a bakery, and he has a bunch of them out there now, and it's just fascinating to see like where there's this love that you still can find
Mhm.
for Jews and appreciation of Israel. And that's what like you started this with saying we're convinced that everybody's anti-Jewish, everyone's anti-Israel. This is what gives me hope is when you see these types of things, right? When you see areas that are either Jewish or are just advocates for Judaism and they're allies, that's what gives me hope to think that your initial hypothesis is incorrect. That we're, you know, people still, uh, the most people still, they still do like us.
Mm,
There's just, again, when you talk about online, when you talk about all this shit in comments and what we've talked about on our comments, it's, you just see it so much more than when you see these other things either in different cities or even in your own hometown. So
yeah. Yeah. It's but it was so nice to like step away from being chronically online and just live in the real world. And I know that's not the real world everywhere. I also think there was a really beautiful alliance between being in a place, there's a lot of slave plantations in the South too. And we got to tour a I mean, it's a beautiful, they're beautiful, by the way. I mean, it's horrible, dark history, dark, dark,
mhm.
but they're also set amongst these beautiful backdrops, right? Where they shot The Notebook. It's called Boom Plantation.
Okay.
It's like, it's that gorgeous home, right? It's like exactly what you imagine from the movies, all right? It's like that Forrest Gump long driveway vibe. Beautiful home and slave dwellings, right? Like literally slave cabins. And just to walk amongst those and learn about it and hear the history and see it, and just coming from a Jewish background and speaking to the tour guides about that, there's a little bit of what's the word? There's a little connection, I think, between, the Jews and the African Americans in that sense. Like there's the both have been severely persecuted, and there's a lot of respect, I think, between both cultures, and especially in the past there has been. That's why Martin Luther King Jr. was such a big Zionist, and we have to get back there. That's why in that culture, when you speak to those people that are descendants of slaves and really respect that world and that the culture and the history of it, they love Jews. They really connect with the Jews. It's the modern versions of all of this that it got all twisted.
It's got lost, it got twisted. It's, you're right. And like just looking back at the that march on Selma with Martin Luther King, there's
Right.
Jews. Jews are next to him, walking right beside him.
We
Uh,
were like this with
yeah,
that.
yeah, and it feels completely foreign now. It really, really does. And it's a shame because, as you said, it's we're both, we've both been persecuted. Our blacks and Jews have been persecuted, whether it's in this country or if it's been everywhere else. Um, we need to get back to that time of being allies more.
Yeah, and that's why like the people of Iran, like the majority of Iran, the citizens of Iran are so in general appreciative of Israel right now, that are fighting for them because they're also persecuted in so
Hmm.
many ways. They are being held down by this terrorist regime basically, that are, you know, keeping these women covered in head to toe burqas or whatever they're called. I can't remember. Is that what they're called? Burqas?
I forgot exactly. I
Uh,
don't think.
um I don't wanna say it wrong, but the headdresses and everything, and it's such a devastating lifestyle for some of these people, that it's all the same. I mean, it's a cycle of the same thing, and it's just it's so crazy what I'm, like, finding on the online, like, it just switched. What's so crazy is, like, it just like, the Gaza thing just, like, went away
I
in,
know.
like, a week. It just, like, went away, and now everyone's, like, fighting for Iran. Like, uh, as if they even have any idea what's going on over there.
No,
And it's just because Israel's involved. And today, someone yelled at me, of course, on Threads, but someone attacked me on Threads that I am an inhumane person because I do not think that Iran should have nuclear weapons.
that's
This is
what kind of
psycho.
mental gymnastics do you have to go through to get to that?
I don't understand it. And then they said, "You are so MAGA." I said, "Because I don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons." Like, why do we have to jump to such conclusions? You can be you can be a Democrat and believe that. You can be a moderate and believe that. You can be pro-Israel and a Democrat. You can be like you. It doesn't need to be one
But
or the
it's
other.
like in this realm of politics, it's black and white. There's
It
no in
sucks.
between. And you can't be one. Like, even if you comment something, I know we talk a lot about comments, but even if you comment something about, let's say, pro Israel or something in a comment that is about Israel, the first thing somebody says is like, oh, now you're bootlicking Trump. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what does that have to do with Trump? Like, it makes no sense. It's just like, it is not black and white. I can like different things about different people and different issues about different policies, yet I don't fit into one box. It's and this is, the whole two-party system and why we're so divided as a country. It just falls into that, and it's
What's
not fun.
scary is the Democratic Party. Um, the more this rhetoric is screamed out loud, the Democratic Party is separating itself so much from a pro-Israel stance. If you get yelled at as a Democrat for saying you're pro-Israel, then all of a sudden, as Democrats, you can't say you're pro-Israel. That's
Right.
really scary.
I know. And
That's like
it's
horrible.
and I feel like a lot of these, uh because Donald Trump decided that we should, bomb Iran. Now every Democrat's going to say it's bad just because Donald Trump did it. Meanwhile, on the other side, which is interesting, they had some people on the right say that what Donald Trump did was wrong. So it's very bizarre, but it's still this black and white thing. It's like, guys, we're a country. We have to support everything, or at least for the most part, everything we do, especially when it comes to foreign policy. The idea of bombing Iran and bombing nuclear facilities in very, very, very targeted uh, explosions and launches is to save the rest of the world from World War III. Like,
So
I
obvious to me.
it is, and it is obvious. Now you can go and say, hey, you know, politicians lied, Trump's lied. Do we really know that we're capable of developing a nuclear weapon? I can't listen. I'm not in the fucking Pentagon. I don't know every bit of the truth, but I can't sit here and say he definitely lied to us. What I'm going to do is say, you know what? I see a regime in Iran that Jews escaped from in the 70s because they saw that shit going down with the Ayatollah. And now you see a regime that is completely taken over a society, making women do, like, they can't do anything. They get killed for showing their hair. It's so, to me, when I see that and think to myself, this is a regime that definitely wants the West to die. The To me, it's like, okay, I'm putting all these pieces together. It kind of makes sense that they would be trying to get a nuclear bomb and they would be close to it. And this is why Trump made the decision.
And it's such an incredible move. Like, here's the thing about it is that if you think about everything that we've gone through in the last, you know, okay, yes, Israel, of course, with the suicide bombers and October 7th and everything else. But the fact that we're concerned about all these like sleeper cells and these potential terrorist attacks from all of these, people that have come in the borders and whatever, it just goes to show like they have legs. Iran has legs and pockets and people and proxies everywhere. They hate us. They're not like loving peace, like let's get along people. And that's what people are like, for some reason they think. they're under it's what Daniel Ryan Spalding thought, that like they can come and like we can be friends and everything's fine. There's not one part of the Iranian like terrorist people that want to be friends with us as America, Israel, or anyone else. I mean, look what just happened in Syria in the church. There was a huge suicide bombing, and that's Islam. This is not like a one and done thing. So if Trump already, so Israel was already like shooting down Iran and already weakening Iran so badly
Mhm.
that when you have, this is like a video game in the sense, I mean, I'm just kind of thinking when you have like a video game and you're like killing the big monster and he's like already weak and he's like kind of like already dying, that's when you can come in and like bam, because
Yes.
he's not strong. And they came in there, I mean, what an incredible feat. 37-hour flight where they were taking naps and they had a microwave and fridge and like, I mean, it's really cool if you actually
And
think about it. But
one of these places was in a mountain. Like it was like in a cave in a mountain underneath all this. Like the fact that you can target that well is pretty fascinating, pretty awesome.
it's
They were able
really
to do
crazy that they were able to pull it off. And here's the thing. Is it scary? Is it uncomfortable? You know who I follow that I really, really appreciate in these times? Because of course, I follow so many different advocates and so many different political people, people that are pro Trump, people that hate Trump, people that, whatever. There's a guy named Doug Ellen. Do you know who that name?
down.
He created Entourage. He is a writer,
Yes.
producer. He's a cynical guy, obviously, whatever. He is not the biggest Trump fan, but he also doesn't hate him. He sees the positive, he sees the negative. Also, the same with, whatever. The most important thing is that he's pro Israel and he's a Jew.
Yes.
And that's how I got on board with him. But he's like anti LA with all his bullshit with the fire stuff and the governor and like so that's why I like him because he says it like it is. He's like Karen Bass, what the fuck? Like I like. So anyway, the day that this happened on Saturday, I was driving back from VidCon in Anaheim and his video came up and he said, listen, like this is uncomfortable. Like this doesn't feel comfortable right now. We just bombed Iran. We have no idea what's coming up next. But like it or hate it, like we're American. Like strap up. Like we're in it together. But you better like stand with your country because you may hate him, you may hate Israel, you may hate, but at the end of the day, you're American. Like they're coming for you too. So stand with your country and just like stop fighting it. Like be here and be proud that you have a strong country. That's the another thing is like we have been sadly we have been kind of like sleeping for the last few years and now like we're showing up as a
Yeah.
country.
Well, we had, we didn't really have anything to we were living in a bubble. After 9/11 happened, we all, we all became this very patriotic kind of country. Everybody was America, America, America. And then after that, nothing really happened. Nothing happened to our country. At least, there were,
Well, there was like internal stuff, like a
yeah,
lot
but
of
there was
school
nothing,
shootings,
right?
like
But there was
horrible things,
nothing,
but it was all domestic.
right? There wasn't any like foreign planned attacks. Um, and we've just been kind of asleep. And this is what happens when you're asleep and when it's least expected. This is what you have to be kind of, I don't want to be scared, not scared of, but just pay attention
You have to be awake.
because you have to be awake. Oh, you have to be woke. Sorry. I know Donna loves being woke. So
No, because there's bad woke left, and then apparently Candace Owens and them are woke right, and I hate them
yes,
all.
yes, the woke left, woke right. Fuck them.
I
But
don't know what woke means anymore.
it doesn't matter. It's just a stupid word that people like throwing around. But yeah, it's we have been asleep at the wheel, and I don't want anything.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Again, you say how I shouldn't say Jesus on this podcast. Yeah, you just
Take it from my hands.
who's singing
That's
that?
Carrie Underwood.
Is that Carrie Underwood? Okay, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yes, American Idol vibes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
No, sometimes it's like it's a lot to think about. Oh, but update. It's Monday night, and just a few hours ago, Donald Trump tweeted or Truth Socialed or wherever he goes that
Truth, it did.
truthed that there is allegedly a ceasefire.
Right.
And
I read something, somebody posted this. I don't even remember who, but like that Iran has no idea what Trump is talking about, and whether that's somebody just making shit up, I don't know. But listen, I hope it is. I hope it's correct. I hope this is done.
he
And
called it the 12-day war.
the
It's
tr-
very 6-day war, Yom Kippur
I
war
know, I
coded.
know. Look at him.
Well, I will say if that look, I just went to Daily Mail because that's where I get like my top hits for my news. It's always like really easy to see. And the first article is locked up with Luigi.
Oh God, get
Like,
him
shoot me.
away.
I don't want to know what that's
Don't
like.
say shoot me when
Oh
you're
my
talking
God,
about
with
Luigi,
Luigi, he will.
douchebag.
The first article says 3 Israelis killed in Iran missile attacks despite promise to stop and
See?
ceasefire deal.
All right. Well,
4
we'll get
minutes
into that.
ago.
Uh,
4 minutes ago. Oh no. 3 killed
where?
before 6 a.m. local time. It doesn't shit. So they didn't follow the ceasefire. Not Israel, guys, not Israel. But I'm sure CNN will say that it was.
Tell us how you really feel, Donna.
CNN is like the communist news network for Israel. They hate us. I feel like they're
Well,
always anti-Israel.
it's very interesting because I do have like a few good apples. They have a few instead of saying bad apples.
They have a good no, you're right. CNN has like Van Jones, who I adore. No, they have great people, but sometimes their headlines are so like anti and it's upsetting. Anyway, we'll have to see. Listen, praying for all involved. It's a scary time right now, you guys.
Um, but not scary. Tomorrow, I am
Yeah.
seeing I'm seeing Douglas Murray speak. He's going to
I'm
be
so jealous, but it will
He's
be so
going, and I get
nice.
a signed copy of his book too. He's going to he's speaking at the Nixon Library, so I will be there tomorrow, and I'm actually going with my dad, the foot guy. So
Will you
we are.
take pictures?
I will. Hoping that next week when we record, we'll have the foot guy join us and kind of do a little recap on the Douglas Murray speaking
Do you
engagement.
think that Douglas Murray is going to start it by saying, "Have you been there?"
Hope so.
But have you been there?
I'll let you
Um, I bet he'll talk about what's going on right now.
Of course he will. Of course. And it goes into what we were just talking about is that they want the fucking Western culture. They want the West dead. And
I know.
that is why they would be developing nuclear weapons.
I know. I'm so interested to hear how it goes. Well, take one for the team and go and let us know how it all goes.
Will do.
And thanks you guys for being here. Make sure to leave a comment and hopefully it's a nice one.
Yes, please. Please. Nice comments.
We need a nice one this time. And make sure to subscribe, 5-star rating, review, all the things. I appreciate it. Bye, Adam. Have a great rest of your week. Have fun tomorrow.
Hi, Donna.
Bye.